course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
Bill Maher, once seen as a respected voice, is now in a mess after trying to defend the Democrats. And Megyn Kelly is calling him out hard. In their recent podcasts, Megyn didn't hold back. She blasted him for standing by a political party that's falling apart. It was a harsh wake-up call, and clearly Maher wasn't ready for it. You really don't want to miss this one.
Important, maybe as important is what we're doing to our children with this trans insanity. I mean, this is almost my single issue. We are chopping off the healthy body parts of young children without 100%. We are doing that.
Well, we are definitely doing that.
Without any inquisition.
That's what it is. So
into
I don't know
what's
what
happened.
the oohing is about.
I don't either. Pay attention, because I'm about to give you a truth bomb. Kids who are suffering from bullying or who have been sexually assaulted or who are going through normal puberty and feel uncomfortable in their bodies will say to their parents, I'm not sure, maybe I'm gender confused. They will send them into a psychiatrist or psychologist who are told by our organizations, the American Psychiatry Association, and all the others that run their licensing, you must affirm. Affirm is the only standard. And so the child gets told, you're right, you are secretly a boy, or vice versa. And the child gets put on puberty blockers, into cross-sex hormones, which sterilize a child and deprive the child of any chance of sexual pleasure for the rest of his or her life. We're talking about 9, 10, 11-year-olds who cannot give informed consent. Then they have body parts chopped off by a medical establishment and by parents who mean well but believe in these doctors, and they shouldn't. And when they inevitably get past the awkwardness of puberty or what have you, and they want to turn around and detransition, those who love bomb them on Reddit saying, come on in, the water's fine, abandon them. They are depressed. They have changed their bodies forever in a way that is irreversible. And we are all sitting back saying, it's a remote issue, as Kamala Harris said. It's not remote. It's the issue of our time, both with respect to children and...
This is the truth that the woke Democrats don't want to face. It's because admitting it would mean everything they stand for is fake. Some parents might still be unaware of what's going on, but this is what's happening behind closed doors. And trust me, the woke crowd doesn't care about real people. They only care about staying in power, and they'll do whatever it takes to win the next election.
We recognize three very basic truths. First, that biology is real, it is immutable, it is not subject to the whims of any individual or government or medical organization. Men are men, women are women. That's all there is to it. You cannot change a person's biological identity, you cannot change their sex, and you should not try. Second, that the most essential and fundamental duty of any society is to protect their children. A country that cannot or will not protect its children is a country that deserves to die and will. Children are innocent and helpless. They know very little about themselves, very little about the world around them. They rely on us for clarity and guidance and protection. They trust us, the adults, implicitly. So when they're confused and scared, they look to us to be the ones who light the way and lead them down the right and safe path. It is our moral obligation to be the source of wisdom and security that they need and that they deserve.
We came dangerously close to letting these people harm our kids and society. It's hard to understand how any parent could be okay with their children growing up confused and lost, just because of extreme political ideas being pushed on them. And now, Bill Maher tries to defend all this with his take, but just wait until you hear the other side.
Who are...
Yeah.
Okay, so you understand...
I mean, I have some in my family. I have nothing against people who actually have gender dysphoria,
right,
and are sincerely wrestling with that. And I would respect them and be kind to them, and as I have been. This is a different issue. This is about children, and then it's about women's spaces and sports.
And that there is so much fluidity in childhood. And I mean, I was insane when I was a child. I remember it. I hated everything about my life going to high school. I was depressed all the time. I was beaten up and worried about ostracism and a million other things. I don't know what would have happened if someone said, the answer to your problem is that you're really not a boy, or whatever it is.
That you need to have body
it just seemed to do something so permanent when, at a time when things are in such flux, that we are letting the ideology and the politics get ahead of good science, which is ironic because these are the follow the science people.
Yeah.
So I understand that. But again, this is more important to you than...
They love to compare everything to fascism just to make real concerns sound crazy. That's how they twist things, using buzzwords that don't match the real situation. But watch how Megyn Kelly breaks down Maher's defense of Biden. Step by step, she left him with nothing to say. It was sharp, honest, and long overdue.
I'm not saying you don't have a point. I'm just saying it's hard for people to understand why that, which is not democracy, that's the border issue. And you're right, they fucked it up. That, with like the things he's been saying, and all the people in his administration who said he's a fascist, he wants to be a fascist, he talks like a fascist, his friends are all dictators.
I don't care about that at all. Not at all.
Because?
January 6th was not good.
Wait, why don't you care about that at all?
Because they've been saying that about Trump for years. They've been saying that about Republican candidates for years. It has like a long storied history. If you are at all center or center right, you are used to having your candidate of choice completely demonized, whether it's the F word, the R word, the misogynist word. They tried to tell us Mitt Romney was a raging sexist because of binders full of women. They tried to tell us John McCain was a raging racist, notwithstanding the fact that he had adopted a daughter from Bangladesh. They've been doing this for every Republican. They get to Trump, and we no longer are listening to them. Trump has incendiary rhetoric, there's no question, but we have 4 years to judge him by, and the country was going pretty well when Trump was in there, unlike the 4 years we've had under these two.
Well, I mean, I could argue with that too. Actually, if Trump had this economy, and I could go through all the stats, the stock market is through the roof, wages are up.
Not as high as it was under Trump.
Well, first of all, Trump inherited somebody else's economy.
That's what Barack Obama would like us to do.
Well, it's true.
Okay.
It's really on day one, everything changed.
So just walk me through it. So Trump has Obama to thank for his economy, but Biden can't thank Trump for anything.
Okay. Let's get off this. Because it's not what I really want to get to.
Ask a liberal one simple question, and they'll likely flip out. It happens all the time. Their hatred for Trump is wild. It's no longer about politics or fact-sits. It's just pure anger with no logic. You really have to ask yourself, what did Trump do to make them this obsessed?
Dictator countries. There's a very World War II feeling here. When the dictator countries are getting together, I mean, in World War II, what did Hitler and the Japanese have in common? Nothing, except they saw the world one way, fascism. They all have to do it in their different way. Iran is a fascist country in their own way. So is China, so is Russia, Saudi Arabia, you could say also. Somehow, the world seems to be dividing between the good guy countries, the democratic countries, and these autocracies. And if your guy gets in, we're going to be on the wrong side of this one.
Okay. If my guy gets in, I think we'll go back to the time that we had when he was president, which is the only time we didn't start a war and get involved in a war. Did Putin?
That's not true.
Did Putin?
Jimmy Carter never fired a shot.
Putin did not invade Ukraine until Biden took over. We had the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, which projected weakness through the world. People understood that we were enfeebled, and that is what was provocative. Weakness is provocative.
I feel like
Trump destabilized these people. They didn't know what to expect of him. Next thing you know, he's bombing Soleimani. Trump did strategic strikes that had people on their heels. They didn't know what he might do to them. And we did not have Putin invade
It's what he might
Ukraine.
do to us that I'm a little more worried. I feel like
we've had 4 years of Trump. We've had 4 years of Trump.
Yeah.
Trump did not go after his political enemies with the Department of Justice.
Right.
That was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Well, we had Hitler in the 30s and things were okay, and then we had Hitler in the 40s and they got way worse. Just because we had him.
He hid his Hitlerism the first 4 years, and is going to come out in full force.
He tried to do things like that. He tried to do dictatorial fascist things, and he was stopped.
Joe Biden has flouted the law when it comes to these student loan giveaway programs. He's flouted the law. Supreme Court opinions that told him he didn't have the right to do it, and he openly said, I will get around the Supreme Court. He did it with respect to rent abatement programs, the same exact thing. And then he and Kamala Harris unleashed this Department of Justice against their political enemy, Donald Trump, their #1 chief rival for the presidency.
Okay, well.
This part is just funny. Now they act like none of this is real. Let's not forget they were the loudest voices calling Trump a threat. But look at what happened under Joe Biden. The economy took a hit, and the country's in chaos. And if Kamala Harris ever took charge, things would get way worse.
It won't be denialism if Kamala Harris loses too.
It won't be the same.
Okay, but there's going to be. I mean, they're already laying the foundation for lawfare. We're going to be stuck in this election one way or the other, no matter who wins, for weeks.
Well, there's no evidence of that. Democrats have never done that. They've conceded.
We already had this fight on my show. Hillary Clinton is the original election denier. Stacey Abrams. Yes, she is.
It's different. Come on, man.
Right.
It's different between grumbling. Yes, they grumble and they shouldn't, and maybe it goes over the. It's different between grumbling about something and actually trying to overturn it, like he did. I mean, you know this. Why do we have to go through this?
That's fine. You're allowed to file legal challenges in response to an election, which is what Trump did, and he lost, and he did wind up leaving office. I'm not going to defend his behavior on January 6th. I never have, and I'm not going to start tonight. But if you don't think there's going to be denialism on the Dem side, you haven't been paying attention to what's been happening on that side for these years.
This is why so many people respect Megyn Kelly. She brings facts to the table. After Kamala Harris lost public trust, the left acted like it never happened. But Megyn wasn't letting that slide. Watch how she shows Bill Maher footage of Hillary Clinton saying the same things about a stolen election. The double standard is clear, and Megyn exposes it perfectly.
Is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
Okay. I mean, she conceded the election. Whether you're interpreting her disappointment at losing it as the same thing as Trump not conceding it, I don't know if that's where you're getting it from. But again, it's a tremendous false equivalency. You could ask Hillary Clinton right now who won that election. She will tell you. Donald Trump won the election.
Now she knows she has to because of what Trump has done.
She came out that night
in her
dark purple suit and conceded the election.
Correct. And then spent the next 4 years trying to convince us it was not legitimate.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
The denial in this video is next level. They're doing the same thing, again shouting about how a felon might be president instead of asking why they keep losing. It's easier to blame Trump than admit their own mistakes. But the more they deflect, the more obvious it gets to everyone watching.
You only get two choices.
That's right.
You get Donald Trump, a criminal election denier who is going to transform this country into an authoritarian place like we've never seen before, or you get Joe Biden with all his flaws.
Also
and
a criminal.
crumbs. Okay, what is his crime again?
Special counsel Robert Hur said he'd committed felonies, but he wouldn't indict him because he was a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. He couldn't get a conviction in front of a jury.
And what was that crime? That was the
classified documents all over his basement, his garage, everywhere.
Well, okay, here's the difference. Immediately, Biden, he shouldn't have had them. Immediately, he said, "Oh, sorry, my bad," and gave them back.
That's why he didn't get charged with obstruction. But Trump has two classified documents, pieces to his case. One is you had them, and the second is you obstructed justice when we demanded them back. So, okay, against Biden, you don't get charged with obstruction. But number one, where's the classified documents charge against him? He's also a felon.
You got your story. You know, I look.
Why can't the difference be one actually had the ability to declassify documents and keep them because he'd been the president, and one didn't because he should have been looking at documents only in a skiff while a sitting U.S. senator, and clearly he stole classified documents that he wasn't entitled to and never had the ability to declassify them.
Yeah. Maybe you know more about that than I do. I don't remember that part of it, and I always don't trust anything I hear until I vet it from the other side, because everybody sort of has their one-sided view of it, and narrative is more important than truth. I know this is the right-wing narrative.
I'm not like that, Bill. I care about facts. I practiced law for 10 years. I want to get the cases right more than I want to get clicks. And I have a lot of lefties who watch me. So I'm not like that. All I can tell you is those are the facts. Hillary.
We all know the woke Democrats avoid the truth. They try to hide it and hope no one notices. But people are starting to wake up. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think.